Okay, it's raining, dear people. I had to run outside and didn't realize it was raining. I had to get my boots because it's a lot of water. So I apologize for my tardiness. But yes, I was a few minutes late here. It looks like it's 9:03. I'm 3 minutes late. Don't tax me on that, okay? Don't tax me. But um, it is what it is. Today I wanted to come in and talk a little bit. I do know I got a notification from my my blogging platform that they're having trouble with Facebook not being able to display any names that come in. So I'll repeat this often during this session to just say, go ahead and just put your name in each time you come or just your initials so I'll try to know who it is. But I can't reference you because I don't know who's writing. And so they had that trouble on Friday, but I thought they would have it straightened out by today. But they just put a note on my page that they don't. So good morning. Good morning. How was your weekend? What did you do? I had a couple of interesting little weird things that happened, but I'm not even going to tell you about them because because that's life. You live long enough, you realize that every day is not going to be, a bullseye for your success. It may be just a weird day, and you're going to go to bed and sleep it off, and maybe when you get up you feel a little bit better, but I feel good this morning. So thank you for tuning in. For those who I see coming in, I appreciate that. And today we're going to talk about veterans. And when I did my presentation on Friday to you all, I asked, did you want me to work today and look up a word? And everybody said yes. So I am here. And when everybody comes in, that will certainly be fine. But I know this to be true that, the work is not just for you, it's also for me. Because then I know a little bit more of something that maybe I didn't know a lot about. But once I do my little bit of research, I'm going to be better. So anyway, today's word, of course, is veterans. And I want to talk a little about how it even got here. How did we arrive at really paying some tribute and dedication to people who have served? My several of my brothers served. I think, let's see, three of my brothers served in the military, and so I know what it is for them to be away, and my folks to be concerned about them while they were away. My brother Ronnie was in Vietnam, and he came back with a lot of excuse me, a lot of issues, both mental and physical, to include at one time he and I don't know if you ever get over the diagnosis of schizophrenia, but he had a diagnosis of schizophrenia because he was hearing voices. And one of the things that he said and he shared with me one day, and he used to live with me a little while until we found accommodations for him. And one of the things he shared was that he literally, oh, thanks, Joan, for putting your name in. He, good morning, good morning. He said that he was on duty, and all of his code, members of his troop, um, they were, in their bed sleeping and everything. And he had duty, he had night duty, and he came back, and everybody was dead. They had an ambush. They were ambushed. So he had guilt. And he said, I have a lot of guilt for living where other people that could have lived, should have lived, are not living. And so his guilt, he wore it sometimes like a vest if you listen to him. And he says, I remember him crying one day talking to my mother and I, and he says, you just don't understand. And we didn't. We didn't understand the level, because he didn't say that. He didn't tell us any of that when he first arrived home. Maybe that was after he got married and the marriage was on the rocks. And then later on, we learned the true devastation of and misery that he was going through. It was an emotional one, and he ended up having Agent Orange. PTSD, and then all the other medical things that came along with it. And when he passed 2 years ago, he was you know, still able to talk, but he was, just a quarter of the person at one time he was. So, war is tough. Being dedicated enough to be a veteran is tough, but nonetheless, we do need people to serve as our protectors, and I think that they, all of them that have done that, I am eternally grateful. I wouldn't have been a selectee no matter what, because my eyes were challenged, my body was challenged. I couldn't have been it. I couldn't have done it. But anyway, let's talk a little bit about the origin. The origin of Veterans Day was really called Armistice Day and was established by President Woodrow Wilson in 1919. I mean, none of us were, or most of us were not. I put it around that way. We're not here in 1919. Good morning. Good morning. I'll put up my little glasses too. I can see. Okay. I don't know who that is, but good morning, who just, came in. But anyway, it was established in 1919 by Woodrow Wilson to commemorate the end of World War I on November 11th of 1918. It says the name changed to Veterans Day in 1954. And some of you all that tuned in weren't even around in 1954. And I was a little child, little. And it says President Dwight D. Eisenhower signed the bill officially changing the name to Veterans Day to honor all American veterans from all wars, not just World War I, all wars, everything. My mom was born in 1919. Wow. And my mother was born in I think 1909, but she was married by the time she was 15. She was married by 15. And then I was in her 40s. So that'll tell you something, back then women were strong. Women were able to deliver the kids. Hey Cheryl, how are you? Good to see you in space. And whoever else is in, good morning. If I don't, I might have to just read what you wrote, but I can't always tell if you're whose name is there. But anyway, it says Veterans Day is celebrated usually on November 11th, of which it is today. So happy Veterans Day to all those who have served and those who have been with them as what I call assistant servants. Okay. I did that for years. I'm a veteran's wife, so I know what it is. And then I worked for the military and the Department of Defense for 28 and a half years officially, but 32 years totally. Okay. He said the early observance was Raymond Weeks, a World War II veteran from Birmingham, Alabama, is credited with organizing the first large-scale Veterans Day celebration in 1947. And it says the symbolic importance is the tomb of the unknown soldier at Arlington National Cemetery is a central symbol of Veterans Day, representing all unidentified soldiers from various wars. So that just gives you a brief little, synopsis of where it came from, why it came about, and write a yes and a V in there to say that you're either married to, know of, part of a family that had veterans in it, and write a V there. And veterans, of course, is anyone that has served. And of course, your name if you want to share it. But anyway, let's get down to the word. It says veterans. It says a person who has served in the military. So a person is a veteran if they served, 3 years, 2 years, 5 years, 7 years, 10 years. I talked to a man Friday night. He had served 33 and a half years. Okay. He said all of my really young life I was serving. I was there serving. I don't know why my screen keeps going dark. I don't know what that's all about, but it goes off and on. But I apologize for that too. Something out of my control. But anyway, when we look at veterans, it says they're retired military. They're called old stagers, old timer, past master, authority, and grandmaster. So they gave them names, and a lot of times you even hear people in the community when they're referring to certain people, they refer to them as master sergeant, gunny sergeant, chief, master chief. They're going to call them what they are: admiral, general. They're going to give them a title. They give them a title. And I think that's beautiful because people who have served deserve to be recognized. I always do it. I always say thank you for your service. Sometimes they tell me thanking me for mine, because I do believe that I served. I didn't serve in the same capacity, meaning I wasn't out on the front line and I wasn't doing that, but I was doing things that supported anything the military was doing. Anything. If it was educational stuff, we were there. If it was testing, we were there. If it was finding tuition assistance, we were there. So we had a presence that supported military for not just while they're in the service, but looking into after they left active service. That's what we were all about. So when we break the word down this morning, my V, this is my V, Sandy's V, Dr. Winnie's V, is valor. I believe valor is quite important when you have people serving in a country, serving for a country that's trying to keep all the people that's within the country safe. I think that is valor, because at any time they could be called up to war or called to go in other portions of the world and defend either our property or our interests in other areas that are connected to what we feel is ours or related to it. But see, my husband served 26 years with the Air Force and 22 with the Civil Service, and several other former family members are also served. That's Joan. I know that one. Okay. And venture. Ooh, venture is good. Venture. And even though there's an A later on, I thought it adventure, but I didn't use it because I think a lot of people who have joined the military realize that there's an adventurous portion to it. So I put valor, and valor says great courage in the face of danger, especially in battle. That's valor. Looking at bravery, people don't even realize that they have bravery or courage or fearlessness until they're put in a situation where it needs to be called up. And then all of a sudden they can step to it. But it says it's also having the desire for heroism, manliness, audacity, and it says backbone. So when it really looks at valor, it's looking at people that can handle whatever the requirement is, whatever is being requested. Who can do it? Who among this band of men and women can do this? And will they do it as a team, or will they do it as a single person that goes in first? You just never know. And I bet when you sit and talk, and I've had some of those stories, you sit and talk to people who have served, and sometimes it's amazing what they've done while in the service. Some they can hardly even talk about because it brings up great emotion about their service. So we move further on in our word of veterans. My E is for endeavor. Try hard. They will try hard to do or achieve something. And of course, anybody that joins the military, there's a requirement that they try hard. If they're not suitable, guess what? They put them out. They're going to leave. So I have endeavor for mine, which is to try, to attempt, to undertake things they haven't seen before, or even to understand how they work until they get in there and do it. It says they're ones that we can admire, and they're ones that will put in the labor. They strive to get things done as a collective force. Effective is good. That's good. That's a good word. I think that's Joan. Effective. And it says looking at their ability to know they need to work hard, apply oneself, meaning that everybody's got to put in the same amount of pull, so that so collectively it makes it much stronger if the bond has been formed, that you look after not just yourselves, but in all the others. The story I told about my brother coming back and finding all of his his platoon or troop all dead after he had night service. He said he just never could imagine that that thing happened. But when he came back, and they were gone by the time he came. So look at the cover that he was given. You know, if you're a believer, and when I am, I speak to the fact that he was given the cover from God, that he wasn't among those that perished. But there, you know, I can't imagine living with that thought. But he did. He did. It was tough for him at times. So endeavor says that when we try, we attempt, we undertake, we admire, we labor, we strive, we work hard, and we apply oneself, and we toil. Sometimes that's what we do. We toil. We realize it. When I move on in my word of veterans, my T is for tenacity. I believe that most people who have truly, truly served in their true capacity, giving all that they had and doing all that they can do, it says that's the quality of being tenacious or at holding fast and being persistent, having persistence to do what is required of them to cover the job. You know, and I imagine that at war and not at war certainly changes the trajectory of everyone's comfort level. But once war breaks out and we're charged with going other places in the world, that is probably when tenacity is truly tested. Truly, you find some people will end up basically going AWOL or defecting, and they do, but you understand the significance of their charge. Sometimes the charge outweighs their ability to handle it mentally. You know, they can't handle it, and so they do something that just kind of messes them around, um, emotionally and everything else. So tenacity is chutzpah, which is CHUTZPAH, chutzpah, determination, courage, being fit, having perseverance, persistence, spunk, and steadfastness. All those words, pretty much. Temperament, yeah. Temperament is good because, you know, as a counselor for many of the military, sometimes if the temperament changed, and it changed in such a way that it became more aggressive, more angry, more frustrated, out of control, more physical. Sometimes those individuals got in some of our office over at the counseling center, and so we would end up dealing with them with their issues to try to see can they overcome them, or are they ones that would be, you know, returned, you know, either to their home through separation from the military, or they returned to the States for more medical intervention. So those are the kinds of things that went on. My E in this sense, and temperament is great. That's just a great word. You want somebody's temperament to be good. My E is for exemplary, serving as a desirable model, representing the best of its kind. The military always talks about they need the best, you know, they need the best pilots, they need the best, you know, gunnies, they need the best, you know. They're looking for people that are able to execute the missions that they're faced with, you know. And I imagine that we're never in, you know, the special room in DC that in the White House where everyone, you know, is summoned when something is going down that no one else can hear, and understand how we're being threatened. But these folks know. So exemplary service, it says serving as a desirable model representing the best of its kind. Being perfect as far as the military is concerned. Now, none of us are perfect, but being perfect in this instance is just saying that they meet the qualifications. Now, I'm quite sure that you've heard in recent years where some people fall off the grid. If something happens to them once they're in the military, and they fall off through little things. So it may start as being little and it grows. You know, it might be aggression, it might be anger, it might be, you know, becoming physical with other members. And so those kinds of things are when there might be looking at, well, they're not as exemplary as they were. They're not as capable. You know, there's some flaws going on there. they're not as ideal and for us, or him or her for us, or us for them. Their life has changed in some way by emotional or physical or even mental statements that show. Um, so when we move on, the my for my R, excuse me, for my R, I have resilient. I think most of the men and women that I've met in the military through my working with them is there's a resilience there that, if you go to 20 years, you've built up a resilience. You know what will work for you and what doesn't work. You are there. You are on point. So it says resilience, meaning serving as a desirable model, representing the best of its kind, meaning you're going down with the ship, or you're going to fight as long as you can fight. That's what it means. Resilience, having that ability to be strong and hardy and quick to do what you know needs to be done, looking at the process of how do I become buoyant in something that could sink other people? How do I recover from something that may mentally destroy some people, but I have the resilience to go through it? It always, you know, kind of intrigued me about SEALs and the level. And I imagine that each of the services have their own. I just knew military term for SEALs, which were basically the best of the best. They were top notch. They knew how to do everything. Could be the quiet stealths going in, and then do whatever they had to do. So they were considered to be the strong, the hardy, the quick. And it says to recover, having that buoyancy, to know that if we go down, we got to have a plan to get back up. If we're pushed out, we have to know how to get back in. Just so understanding those things. And it says also with, that word of just realizing that to be resilient also meant that you have to be flexible and adaptable, adjustable. So, what may be going on right now may not be going on later on. So you may have to shore up the sides on this area, and then you go back over to that area after this area is straightened out. I imagine that they have just a strategic plans on how they have an A, B, C, and whatever, ways of doing things, represent. That's right. They are represent. They are representing. Yes. Yes. Every time I always tell all the military people I see in uniform, thank you. Thank you. I just make it simple. Thank you. I couldn't do it, but I'm so happy that you could. Sometimes we might even forget that we need to tell people just thank you. Even if you, and sometimes they may be tired of hearing it, but we should never be tired of saying it, because we're not doing what they do. We're just not. Period. My A is for audacity. My A of veterans and veterans is for audacity. Audacity is the willingness to take bold risks. I know I have audacity to do many things, but to be in the military and, be able to stand up. I think if I had better eyes, I would have done it. Be honest with you, I would have done it. But, they didn't want anybody that couldn't see. They didn't. So audacity, and it says a willingness to take bold risk. It says her, and they just give you an example, like her audacity came in handy during our most recent emergency. Military could be in emergency situations all the time. So they need somebody that has that boldness, that audacity level of saying, I don't care, I'm getting ready to go in. I'm going to get it done. That's my charge. That's my charge. So audacity says the boldness, being daring, fearlessness, having no fear about what they're about to enter into. It says also bravery, courage, valor. There's that word again, heroism, pluck. It also says adventurousness, because sometimes in your defending of someone or some things, as in the country, you've also gotten to go to other portions of the world that, they wouldn't have seen, And a lot of times you ask people, what's up, Doc? Hey, oh, that's got to be Michael. Is that you, Mike? I cannot tell because of the Facebook doesn't have any names that they've been able to give over to my platform, but I'm thinking that's you. Not quite sure. But anyway, Audacity speaks to, and thank you for serving. Thanks. Hey, Sharon. Thank you for serving. Hi, baby. How are you? Thank you. Audacity, and our word, of course, is veteran. So that's the easy word. The hard word is breaking it down so that I can tell you that I am so happy that you served. I'm so pleased that you came back and that you're able to be in a position where you should be served right now. Somebody should be serving you. So anyway, on Audacity, that's where we are. So far, whoever just came in, I said, for the word veterans, I said, you have valor, endeavor, tenacity, exemplary status, resilient. Now we're on audacity. Attention. Come on now. That's good. I love attention. Not for me. I mean, the fact that most of the time I remember seeing everybody saluting at attention. Yeah. So audacity also means courage, recklessness, meaning that they may throw all things out the window. They get ready to go on in. It says also it's a spirit, something from within them that they have, a willingness to meddle, mettle, a willingness to meddle. Confidence, meaning that it comes from them to saying, I'm going to get this done. I can do this. I can do this. Gutsiness, spunk, grit. And it also says ballsiness, ballsiness, ballsiness. So when we think about what, veterans have done for our country, we need to say thanks every time we see them. We have to. Well, I'm going to put it this way. I have to. Yesterday we did a program at church and we ran a video of all the veterans at our church. And, we were marveling at the fact that at our church, we have 2 master sergeants. And they said, like for folks of color, it was hard to move up through the ranks because in many instances we were limited to the areas that we could be allowed to be into over the years, and most of the time we certainly could be cooks, that was one of the ones that I remember seeing so many of when I look back through some of the records of people who had served the military, and cooks was like number 1. So anyway, that's audacity. When we move on further in our word of veterans, somebody said it. I was trying to make sure I got everybody. I did. My N is for nature. I believe the military has placed upon everybody that goes in the military to have a certain nature about them, which is the basic or the inherent features of something, especially when seen as the characteristics of it, meaning they're calm or they're not too easily provoked, that they can handle criticism, that they can do what is being required, that all the things that you think of, even when you're talking about somebody coming to work for you, but looking at it, another way sets it up where they realize that I need more than just the fact that I can do certain things. I need to be able to get along with my co-workers. I need to be able to understand rank. Rank had gotten many a person over to our counseling office. Once you start disrespecting rank, that was a problem. It was a problem. So all those kinds of things that people would encounter in the military, actually, and many of them carry over into the civilian life as well. When you think about it, you need to be respectful of who you're working for, and you need to understand, the qualifications of the job, and then carry those things out. But you need to do it without, the back talk and maybe the, the other extra words, that superfluous words that you don't need. You just need to make it where it's just extremely understood that you respect them and they would respect you. So nature talks about the essence, the substance, the character, the type, the kind, the style. It also talks about the classification of a person. So all of those things are things that when we look at, we may even evaluate them in our personal lives. So to have somebody representing the country certainly suggests that more must be done in terms of how one behaves in positions that they're working, especially where the country is, basically counting on them to be in the right frame of mind and having the nicest disposition that allows others to work with. That's not saying that you're not tough, just saying that you know what it is that says that you work with others, because sometimes they're in tight quarters. Think of it. I used to always imagine what it would be like on a submarine. And then one time, I think we had a tour one. It was like it had come up and, I couldn't make it up the steps because it was so narrow. And it wasn't that I was so big. It's just that all of a sudden I got a height problem and I had a closeness problem. I didn't know that those things existed in me. I know it now. Now I can go up to a high floor and all of that, but and I don't get too shook up about that. But it's the other stuff. It's the other stuff. That closeness. No, I told somebody recently that I could when I lived in New York, and even in upstate New York, they had houses, but the houses they might have been a little large, but they were kind of structured strange, So there were people on each side. So apartments were pretty much like they're starting to build up where they go straight up. And sometimes they were connected. And even though we didn't live in one that was connected, it was like they were connected because you could only two people could not walk down the aisle, down the side, distance between the two buildings. You couldn't in certain sections. You couldn't because it was only enough for one. And that was enough to if you had a dog, you could walk the dog out. And if you had a small, container of garbage, not like the containers they have now. We had much more garbage than back then, I guess, but you couldn't do all of that. And you could hear your neighbors, everything they said. So for me, if you couldn't live under those conditions, that would be extremely tough. Okay. And my last word, yay, I'm at the last word. And I thank y'all for coming in today, only because I know it is a holiday, but it's raining here where I am. So I'm at peace. I got up early this morning and prepared this. So I'm going to have a cup of coffee when I'm done. I am. But my S is for steadfastness, the quality of being resolutely or dutifully firm and unwavering. I believe that is vital when you're in the military. I do. I just remember some people that were starting to fall apart when we lived overseas, and our base was pretty strategic at that time and where it was in the Med. So we, as the civilians, didn't know what was going on. All we knew were the residuals of what happened or what was happening and how it was affecting certain military members. And that's when we would have a chance to find out how steady they were, how comfortable they were in what the charge was for them to do in the event that they had to go to some other areas that needed and required them to protect that area. So the steadfastness talks about the quality of being resolutely or dutifully firm and unwavering. That means it says they're constant, they're faithful, they have loyalty, they're resolute, and they're staunch. When we just think about who we are, in our own families or in our own relationships that we have with people, we form a certain amount of what I would call comfortable behaviors with them. But if we started acting in behaviors that weren't comfortable to them, they would not only let us know, but they may even pull away. They may even pull away from doing anything that suggests that we're connecting. It's probably a misfire, because if I see somebody that's escalated in terms of their aggression, their anger, their out and out physicalness towards me, that's not only a cue for me to get out, but it's also letting me know that something's changed. Strength, that's a good one. Having strength, having the ability to know that I chose this career, and I'm in it for 4 years, I'm in it for 6, or I'm in it for life. And that, not life meaning their entire age, but their life until they can and will need to retire. In fact, that was the opening statement when I did my doctorate. It was really looking at the fact that, it says you may have gained all of these skills through the years, but eventually you must retire. But most people, when they retire from the military, they're still young enough to take on another job, form their own businesses, do something through the Veterans Affairs, or through their connections just that they've made in the military, so that when they get out, they have another platform to work from that just gives them an opportunity to utilize the skills that they learned and were using while they were in the military. So that's all I have today on veterans. I hope you all have a pleasant Veterans Day. And if you see someone, say something. If you go to the mall where I see a lot of the young sailors, I always say, thank you. I don't say much else, just thank you. They smile, they say, you're welcome. So that's it. That's it for today. I'll be back on Wednesday. I have a couple of things to do. So if I'm not going to be here on Wednesday, I will certainly let you know. But make it a great day for yourselves. If you need to rest, do that. If you're going to a parade, I don't know if the parades are going to go on because of the rain here where I'm at. But I know they canceled the one they said over in Gulf Breeze, but I don't know if they're having one here. But anyway, have a wonderful day. Be safe. I thank you, thank you, thank you. And when I go back on Facebook side, I will see who actually wrote in. If you don't do anything else, hit the share button and let it be known that Dr. Winnie is here, trying to make every word your ability to give it your ability to not only know it, but have a conversation from children to kings and queens. I thank you so much. Have a great day. Be safe. Bye-bye. Thank you to Facebook user.